Alright, how's it going? I'm that ginger photographer. This video today is going to be all about the Canon R6 and my second kind of attempt at street photography. So before I get into this video, I've got two really quick questions to ask you, and if you could reply in the comments, that would be absolutely amazing. It might help me and it might help other people that are watching this video. Number one is, if you've moved from DSLR to mirrorless, like I've moved from the Canon 5D to the Canon R6, have you found that you have to edit your files differently? Have you found that shadows are different and highlights are different? Have you found that presets don't look the same on these new files compared to what you used to do? Or have you not really noticed any difference at all? And my second question is, if you do street photography, or if you've ever done it, how the hell do you do it? I went to a city on an evening when I thought it'd be quieter and I was heckled. I was asked for group pictures by lads like I was in a nightclub.
Oh, new follower as well, what a night.
And I was just pretty much aware that everybody was looking at me. Everybody sat outside having dinners and drinks. However much I wanted to convince myself that they weren't all staring, they really were. Because this was pretty much my first real attempt at it, and I just want to know how people handle it. How did you find your first go at it? Were you nervous? Are you used to it now? Does it get easier? Do you go at certain times? Anything like that? I'll talk more about it through the video, but I can see it is just awkward at first. And I'm just wondering if you start to get used to that or if it's always awkward. So most of the rest of this video will just be footage from my chest camera, so you can pretend like you're a little baby and I'm just carrying you around. Come on baby, let's go and watch daddy take some photos. So if you're bothered about lenses, the only lens that I've used here is the Canon 50mm 1.2. I never went all the way down to 1.2, but that's what I've used. And I know that I mentioned in my last video when I tried street photography again that I wouldn't do it on my own, but I couldn't get anybody to come. I did try, I asked loads of people and nobody was free, so I just ended up on my own again. What a sad story. So as the video goes on, I will leave up some of the pictures that I took on the day and that I've edited, but I won't be leaving them on the screen for too long, purely because I don't really want you to look at them, but I thought it wouldn't be a very good video without them, so I'll put them up, but I'm just not very happy with the edits. I just can't get the editing right with these new Canon R6 files. I don't know if it's because it's mirrorless, I don't know if it's because it's a completely different setup, but my presets and my edits that I usually do just don't seem to work on these new files. That is the reason why I asked one of them questions. I'd love to hear if you've had the same issue, if you've found that when you've swapped over from a DSLR to a mirrorless camera, have you found that you're having to edit a lot differently? Have you found that your presets aren't working like they used to? Or have you found a way around it so you've got them editing the same? I just can't seem to get the edits right on these, so the pictures won't be staying up for ages because I just don't really like them. In fact, I think the last two pictures that I took right before I got back to the car are the only pictures that I'm happy with from the full shoot. So if you are having the same issue, if you could mention it in the comments, that'd be great, just so that I know that I'm not alone really. And if you found a way around it, that'd be great too, if you could post something about how you're editing differently. Just a quick favour to ask, if you are enjoying this video, if you could hit a like, that would be amazing. And if you've already liked the video, thank you so much, you're the best. So for anyone that does do street photography or anyone that's tried it, I was a bag of nerves. As you probably saw at the beginning of this footage, I didn't point the camera at the street once. I was pointing it up at the sky where people weren't, basically, because I was very aware that everybody was looking at me, all watching me out the side of their eye, just like I would have done if I seen someone with a camera. I'd be very interested in what they were doing. And I did go earlier on in the night because I thought it'd be quieter, and that was just completely wrong. It was just so busy. So there isn't a whole lot of street photography in this video, as much as I really wanted to do it and wanted to give it a go. There is some, I did build up the confidence, but there's not absolutely loads. And another reason that I decided to go a little bit later as well is because I thought the sunset would be a really good way of testing the camera on highlights and shadows. As that sun was going down, I thought it'd be a really good way to see how the camera actually handled the shadows, and as I've just mentioned about my edits, I'm not really that impressed. My opinion might change as I get used to editing, and once I can get the files looking how I want them to edit in Lightroom, I might be happier with how the R6 is handling shadows, but right now for me it's not handling them as good as what the Canon 5D does. So that's just my opinion, take away from that whatever you will, but I do just think that the 5D files edit better. But that's probably because I've been editing them for the last 8 years. So it might just be a case of the fact that I need to get used to these ones more than anything. So throughout the shoot, the focusing on the R6 was really good, to be honest. It didn't really misfocus or anything like that. It focused pretty much on what I wanted to focus on each time. I haven't switched to back button focus yet because I used this camera on a portrait job the other day, and I absolutely loved it. The eye focusing was great, and it was just tracking the eyes all the way through the portrait shoot, and I didn't want to ruin that by switching to back button focusing. So I've left it on just its normal focusing mode for now, and it was pretty good on this night, to be honest. I did want to try some pictures of people walking past and see if it focused on their faces or if it'd stay focused on like the cathedral in the background, but unfortunately I just didn't build up the confidence to do that, so you'll have to wait till next time. Another thing that I will say is that I'm absolutely falling in love with that digital viewfinder. I didn't think I'd ever say that, because I just love the viewfinder on the Canon 5D so much, because it's obviously what you see is what you get, it's real life. This digital viewfinder, at first I absolutely hated it, but now, because of the portrait job that I mentioned, I absolutely just love that you can see the picture that you're taking, you can see if the exposure's right and everything like that. And the viewfinder gives such a good image that I actually loved the viewfinder pictures better than when I actually loaded them up on the Mac. I don't think that that's a good thing, but I do think that the viewfinder images are great. So for anybody else that is worried about that digital viewfinder or can't get used to it, I am slowly falling in love with it, and I did not think that would happen. So by the end, my confidence was definitely up. I was still a bag of nerves, but I wasn't as nervous as I was when I first got there. I did have a drunk homeless man shouting at me, telling me where the train station was. I didn't ask him where the train station was. I didn't even get the train, so I don't know why he decided to tell me that. And maybe I look like someone that gets the train, I don't know. But anybody else that does do street photography, or anybody else that's tried it, I'd love to know your thoughts. Like, are you always just a bag of nerves? Are you always really on edge, scared that you're going to get mugged? Or is that just me? Am I weird? And it might help out somebody else that's watching this video that's experienced the same thing. Just to point out, this car that parked up here, I was watching them to see that they got out, a woman got out, she was stood watching me to see what I was doing. She was like a spider, she didn't realise it, but I was more scared of her than she was of me. And I do think that these are my favourite pictures of the whole trip, to be honest. So that full 40 minutes, I ended up getting 2 pictures that I liked in the last 3 minutes. So there's a moral in there somewhere, but who knows what it is. Start at the end. Maybe, I don't know. So overall, I had a really good, exciting time, although I was a bag of nerves. I really did enjoy this attempt at street photography, if you can call it that. I know a lot of you guys that do it probably won't even class this anywhere near street photography, because you guys are so good at it, but it was really fun. And when I was driving back home, I did think I had a really good time there, and I'd love to do it again. If you do leave a comment as well, thank you so much for that. I'm going to be reading all of them, and it might help somebody else out that's watching the same video. So thank you for doing that as well. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much. I love you. Bye. You hang up first.